It's 2022. You open YouTube, click on a video, and suddenly VPN ads are everywhere. Every video you click, every content creator you follow, they all say the same thing. Nothing is safe from the hackers, they say, unless you use a VPN. But is it actually true? You're on your computer in the middle of a cafe, you load up your bank's website, put in your username and password, and log in. While you were signing into this website, your computer was sending signals to Starbucks' router, which then sent it to the website, creating a tunnel between yourselves. But wouldn't that mean that someone can just reach into this tunnel and read your information, kinda like these VPN ads suggest? Well, not really. When you open up your bank's website, or any website for that matter, you'll see at the top of your page a little padlock icon along with the letters HTTPS before the URL. This essentially means that when the data is sent to the website, it's encrypted in a way that only you and the destination can decrypt. So anyone that intercepts this data will be unable to see the information because it would just be random scrambled letters. But why do VPN companies make it seem like that's a risk? It all comes down to misinformation and manipulation of marketing. VPN companies bank on their audiences not understanding anything about networks and cybersecurity, and they exploit that to the maximum. Let's say you were looking at getting a VPN and you had three choices: ExpressVPN, NordVPN, and SurfShark VPN. Sure, they all look different, but they all have the same promises: different locations, higher connection speeds, stronger security, and no logs. The problem is, not all of these are actually true. Sure, they may allow you to access different locations and maintain normal connection speeds, but that's it. Let's go back to the Starbucks example. These VPN companies say that because you don't have a VPN, all these hackers have a clear line of sight into the information, and that's true, but barely, if at all. The only situation in which these hackers could see your information is if your bank's website, for some reason, did not have HTTPS encryption, which is when you see that padlock next to the URL. No HTTPS encryption is kind of like leaving your valuables in a safe and then just leaving the door wide open. Fortunately though, almost every single website and every single big website does have HTTPS encryption. Not only that, but since late 2016 for iOS and early 2018 for Android, HTTPS encryption is required from these operating systems for any app that is on their platform. So even if you're on your phone, you shouldn't have to worry about hackers. But again, VPN companies say you do. They also say that one of the reasons you should use a VPN is because you can hide your information from your ISP or internet service provider, and that's just wrong. When they say information, you're gonna assume that they mean your passwords and bank details and such, but that's not really how it works. So let's say you're sitting at home and you log into your bank. From the ads you saw on YouTube earlier, you heard that VPNs could make it so that your ISP does not see where your login details are, and it's true, they can't with a VPN, but your ISP also can't see that even without a VPN. So what can your ISP actually see? When information is sent to the bank, it gets sent from the laptop to your router, which then forwards it to your ISP, which then sends it to the website. Since both of these need to know where to send that information to, it's always going to contain the destination that they can read to properly get it to where it needs to go. That means that both the hacker and your ISP could see the destination of this information without being able to read the actual information like passwords or what you're trying to do on the website. But if you had a VPN, it sort of acts as a mask or a middleman. Think of it like a game of telephone, where you can't hear what is said before you and after you, only directly to you and what you say to the next. Let's pretend in this situation we are the ISP. We can't see what the computer says to the router, but we do get the information from the router and we send that information to the next. And all we see is what we sent to the next and not where it goes after that. So without a VPN, the information we get from the router is the website URL, and then we send that to the next. But with the VPN, the information you get from the router is the URL of the VPN, such as expressvpn.com. There is not a situation in which where you're sitting at home on your computer logging into websites like your bank, where your ISP or anyone for that matter can see what you're inputting into that website, especially since nowadays over 90% of websites use HTTPS, especially popular websites. But let's go back to you. You know that your ISP can't see anything except the website you did visit. You know that if there was a hacker in your house, that they couldn't just grab your information out of thin air, but you also know that there is still one party who can have access to information that you're worried about: the VPN companies themselves. Something else that you remember from the ads for VPNs that you saw on YouTube was that the VPN companies advertised themselves as
strict no logs policy. Strict no logs policy.
NordVPN, there's a strict no logs policy.
You're sitting there Googling what that means and why these companies push this point so hard, and you end up figuring it out. No log means these companies will not collect any identifiable data. And it's not as if they say they won't collect some stuff. They specifically say they won't collect any identifiable data. You even go on their websites to see what they mean, and sure enough, it's there. They say, quote, they don't monitor, track, or store what you do online. No activity logs, whatever you do stays with you. But then you do a little bit more digging and go to their privacy policy page, and all of a sudden, there's now a long list of what they actually do collect. But what is this information? Well, it's virtually impossible for a company such as a VPN company to not collect any data. But why do they promise not to do so? Is it to trick you? Well, essentially, yes. Let's take SurfShark for example. They push this no logs policy the hardest out of all three companies that we are looking at: ExpressVPN, NordVPN, and SurfShark VPN. But one click away, you see that they say, quote, we collect and use some information to improve the performance of our website. The information we collect on our website may include anonymous traffic information provided by the host or similar provider of such information, example, Google Analytics, that does not personally identify you. But can you really trust that? And they also even say that when you visit their website, they may retain your IP address and a unique identifier for your device. This helps them identify problems with their servers, to administer their website, or to display the content according to your own preferences. You keep running down this rabbit hole and see even other companies offer the same thing, saying they have no logs, and then saying they do collect it in their privacy policy, and again, saying they have no logs, and then saying they do collect it. Even weirder, you see that they say that can't even access it even if they wanted to, and that's honestly ridiculous. And the situation gets worse when you factor in the government. These companies, when prosecuted by the government, if prosecuted by the government, are forced to hand over all information they have on you. But even still, there's still one lingering question in your mind. Why haven't these companies been sued yet for false advertising? So you do some research and it all comes down to one reason: jurisdiction. You find all of these companies are based in other countries. NordVPN is based in Panama. ExpressVPN is based in the British Virgin Islands, which falls under British jurisdiction, and SurfShark VPN is based in the Netherlands. This is why these companies haven't been sued. It's a logistical nightmare, especially for someone in the US, to sue one of these companies. After all the research you've done, you've come to one conclusion: VPN is simply a glorified region bypasser. And although to some extent I've made it seem like it's not really, protection is a big problem nowadays, but it doesn't have to be that way. And what way to protect yourself better than with a VPN?